Most people think the hard part is getting the money. It isn't. The hard part is what happens in the 48 hours after you find out you have it. Because that's when every instinct you've built your entire life around not having money kicks in at full volume, and almost every single one of those instincts is wrong. Statistically, over 70% of people who come into sudden wealth are broke again within 5 years. Not because they're stupid, because nobody told them what to actually do. Number 1, don't lend money to friends or invest in their businesses. And this one comes first for a reason. The first threat to your money isn't the stock market. It isn't taxes. It isn't bad investments. It's your best friend with a business idea. And here's why this one comes first, because it's going to happen faster than anything else on this list. Within weeks of people finding out you have money, someone you actually care about is going to show up with a plan. Not a stranger, someone you've known for years. Someone you'd take a call from at 2 in the morning. They're going to need $30,000 to get something off the ground, and the idea is going to sound reasonable, and you're going to feel like a bad person for even hesitating. That feeling is the trap. Because here's what actually happens when you give money to someone in your life. If the business fails, the money is gone, and so is the friendship. If the business succeeds, there will be disagreements about how much you're owed, and the friendship is still gone. I've been on the wrong side of this. Gave money to someone I trusted completely. The business didn't make it past 8 months. We haven't spoken since. I didn't just lose the money. I lost the person. Don't do it. The kindest thing you can do for that friendship is say no while you still have something worth protecting. Number 2, don't tell anyone. The reason number 1 happens at all is because someone talks. And that someone is usually the person who just got the money. Think about the exact moment you find out. You're holding your phone. You already know who you want to call. That instinct right there is the most expensive instinct you will ever have. Because every person you tell becomes a vector. They tell someone. That someone tells someone else. And within a month, people you haven't thought about in years are suddenly very interested in how you're doing. Privacy isn't about being cold or secretive. It's about buying yourself time to think before the world starts thinking on your behalf. The only people who need to know are the ones you're legally required to tell and the professionals you're paying to help you manage it. Everyone else finds out when you decide they find out. And that timeline is entirely up to you. Number 3, don't quit your job yet. This is the one most people get wrong within the first week. You're sitting in a meeting that has no reason to exist, listening to someone explain something that could have been an email, and somewhere in the back of your mind you know there's money sitting in an account with your name on it. The thought is right there, you could leave. You could just get up and walk out and never come back. Don't. Not yet. Because quitting your job the moment you have money is an emotional decision wearing the costume of a financial one. What people don't understand is that losing the structure of work doesn't free you. It just removes the one thing keeping your spending anchored to something real. Without it, days blur together, boredom gets expensive fast, and a year later, you've made 12 months of impulsive decisions with nobody around to notice. The balance of power has shifted, and that actually matters. You now have the option to leave. That's different from leaving. Keep the job. Let the option sit there. There's a significant difference between being trapped and choosing to stay. Number 4, pay off your debt, then let the money sit. There are exactly 2 things you should do with the money immediately. Pay off everything you owe, and then don't touch the rest. That's it. If you're carrying a credit card balance at 22% interest, that debt is costing you money every single day while you're busy thinking about what to do with your windfall. Clear it, then stop. Because the second temptation right after spending is optimizing. People want to immediately move the money somewhere smart, make it work, get it invested before they waste another day earning nothing. That urgency is the problem. The money doesn't need to move right now. You do. You need time to become the kind of person who knows what to do next, and that doesn't happen in a week. The plans you have in month 1 will look completely different by month 6. Let them change before you commit to anything. Do nothing on purpose. It's harder than it sounds, and it's exactly right. Number 5, don't start a business immediately. Every person who has ever had a salary they hated has a business idea in the back of their head. That's not unique to you. What's unique is that you now have the money to actually do it, which means you're about to find out whether the idea was ever real or just a fantasy that felt better than going to work on Monday. Meet Marcus. 34 years old, came into $200,000, opened a restaurant because he had always loved food and always believed he had an eye for hospitality. 18 months later, the restaurant was closed. Not because Marcus wasn't smart, because loving food and running a food business are 2 completely different skill sets, and money can fund the gap between them for a while, but it cannot close it. 9 out of 10 new businesses fail. That number doesn't care how passionate you are or how good your timing feels. If you want to build something, start planning now and start spending later. The idea will still be there in 12 months. If it isn't, that's also useful information. Number 6, don't dramatically upgrade your lifestyle. This is the quiet mistake, and it's the hardest one to undo. This is the quiet one, the dangerous one, because unlike buying a boat or funding a bad startup, upgrading your lifestyle doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like finally living the way you were supposed to. Better neighborhood, bigger house, nicer car. Each decision looks reasonable on its own. Here's what they look like together. A $500,000 house in Phoenix versus an $800,000 house in a better zip code means a difference of roughly $1,800 a month in mortgage, property tax, and maintenance. Every single month, forever. Regardless of what your account looks like in year 3 or year 5. That's the part nobody calculates in the moment. Lifestyle upgrades don't cost money once. They cost money indefinitely, and they're almost impossible to reverse without feeling like you've failed. Get comfortable. Fix the real problems in your current situation. Just don't restructure your entire cost of living around a number that isn't guaranteed to be there in 10 years. Number 7, learn the 5% rule. This is the only framework you actually need. Every point so far has been about what not to do. This one is different. This is the only framework you actually need, and once you understand it, everything else gets simpler. Here's how it works. If you invest $1 million at a 7% average annual return, you generate roughly $70,000 a year. You live on $50,000. You don't touch the original million. Next year, same thing. Year after that, same thing. In theory, that money never runs out because you're only ever spending what it generates. That's the 5% rule. Spend no more than 5% of your total invested assets per year, and the principal stays intact indefinitely. Most people think having money means having a large number in an account. People who actually keep money think about it differently. They're not sitting on a pile. They're running a machine that produces income every single year without being consumed. The goal from day one is to build that machine and then protect it. Everything else on this list exists to make sure you don't accidentally destroy it before it gets started. Number 8, learn enough to protect yourself. The 5% rule only works if nobody talks you out of it. And there are a lot of people who will try. Not because they're evil, because the financial industry runs on commission, and commission requires you to move your money around. Here's one thing most people never find out until it's too late. There are 2 kinds of financial advisors. A fee-only advisor gets paid a flat rate to give you good advice. A commission-based advisor gets paid when you buy the products they recommend. Same title, completely different incentives. Most people with sudden money walk into the first office that seems professional and have no idea which type they're talking to. You don't need to become an expert. You just need to know enough to ask the right questions before someone else answers them for you. Number 9, prepare for the target on your back. This part catches almost everyone off guard. More money means more people who want some of it, and not all of them are going to ask nicely. This isn't paranoia. It's just math. 3 things are going to happen that you should not be surprised by. First, someone in your extended family is going to surface a legal claim you didn't know existed, usually around an inheritance, usually right after the paperwork settles. Second, someone from your past, someone you haven't heard from in years, is going to reach out with an investment opportunity that requires a quick decision. Third, and this one is the hardest, someone close to you is going to use guilt as leverage. The line sounds something like, if you actually cared about this family, you wouldn't let us struggle while you're sitting on all that money. None of these are accidents. All of them are manageable if you see them coming. Money doesn't create new problems. It just makes the old ones significantly more expensive. Number 10, protect your kids from the money. Your kids' lives change the moment yours does, whether you plan for that or not. The question isn't whether the money affects them, it's whether you control how it affects them. The way generational wealth actually survives is through structure, not generosity. A trust that pays out an annual allowance from the returns, while leaving the principal completely untouched, means your children benefit from the machine without being able to dismantle it. Same mechanics as the 5% rule, just applied one generation forward. This is not a complicated concept. It's just one that nobody teaches in any school that doesn't cost $50,000 a year to attend. The families who stay wealthy across generations aren't luckier than everyone else. They just figured out earlier that giving someone access to money and giving someone a system to live from are 2 very different things. Number 11, Invest in your health. This is the only point that has nothing to do with money. This is the only point on this list that has nothing to do with money. For most of your life, taking care of your health properly has been a budget question. You skipped the specialist because of the copay. You put off the dental work. You joined the gym and didn't go because exhaustion from financial stress is real and it doesn't leave much left over. That changes now. For the first time, you can actually afford to find out what's going on with your body and fix it. Do that, because none of the other 11 points matter if you're not around to see them through. Number 12, play it safe. Everything on this list has been building to this one. You've made it through 11 things not to do and one framework that actually works. The last one is simple. Don't blow it chasing something bigger. The people who lose sudden wealth almost never lose it to one catastrophic decision. They lose it to a series of small ones, each of which seemed reasonable at the time, each of which moved them slightly further from the machine and slightly closer to spending down the principal. Remember, number 1, that friend who needed $30,000 is probably still waiting on an answer. Now you know what to say. The version of you that still has this money in 10 years doesn't need to be a genius. They just need to be the person who didn't make the obvious mistakes when it counted most. Here's the thing about sudden wealth. The information on how to keep it isn't hidden. It's not complicated. Most people who lose it knew at least half of what's on this list before they made the decisions that cost them everything. The gap isn't knowledge. It's the distance between knowing what to do and actually doing it when every instinct you have is pulling in the opposite direction. That's the real test, and it starts the moment the money arrives.